Okay, attention please. The keynote session is about to start. Okay, before we come to the keynote session, I'd like to invite our keynote speakers, Professor Cahyono, and then Dr. Faisal Kabir and Professor Nanang Dwi Wahyono to step forward and have a seat here. Thank you. Okay, yes, please. Yeah, please be seated. Okay, Dr. Faisal Kabir. Yeah, okay. Yeah, monggo. Yeah, yeah, silakan Bapak. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you for the keynote speakers. Please be seated, and we're gonna start the keynote session. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Good morning, Bapak Ibu. Welcome to the keynote session and discussion of the 4th ICoSHIP International Conference on Social Science, Humanity, and Public Health 2023. I'm Nodistia Septian Indrastana, and I'm going to be the moderator today. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's rapidly changing world, sustainability has become a topic of significant importance. From climate change and environmental degradation to social equity and ethical practices, there are numerous reasons why sustainability should matter to everyone. In Politeknik Negeri Jember, in this case, would like to make a positive contribution as a response to ongoing sustainability issues through this conference with the theme Enhancing a Sustainable Future in the fields of social science, humanity, and public health. Therefore, today we have 3 distinguished keynote speakers who are already with us in person. We have the first, Professor Benny Cahyono from Coventry University, the United Kingdom. Good morning, Professor Cahyono. Okay. And then next we have Dr. Muhammad Faisal Kabir from CARE International, Bangladesh. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Shuprobat, is it correct? Shuprobat, Dr. Kabir. Okay, thank you. And there is Professor Nanang Dwi Wahyono from Politeknik Negeri Jember, Indonesia. Selamat pagi, Prof. Okay. For your information, this session is going to be held for around 1 hour. So each keynote speaker is going to deliver his presentation for around 15 minutes. And then after that, the speakers present their talks. There is a question and answer session for around 20 minutes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our first speaker for today, Professor Benny Cahyono. Yeah, he's a professor of sustainability and supply chain management and the co-leader of the Sustainable Production and Consumption Cluster at the Center for Business and Society. His research track record has been demonstrated by winning a number of research grants from the Engineering and Physical Research Council, Economic and Social Research Council, Academy of Medical Sciences, Innovate UK, European Union, overseas funding agencies, and directly from the UK industry sector. So this is very amazing. Huh? And Professor Cahyono has also a vested interest in sustainability and environmental conservation. He's an engineer by education and has a strong background in contemporary simulation and modeling techniques. In addressing sustainability issues in modern factories, he has applied these techniques as an innovative way to achieve the triple bottom line objectives, doing good for people, planet, and profit. Yeah. Okay, so on this occasion, Professor Cahyono is going to deliver a presentation entitled Social Innovation Management for Bioplastics. So Professor Cahyono, please take the floor.
Thank you very much. Okay, very good morning to all of you here. Selamat pagi. My name is Benny Cahyono. I work at Coventry University. I'm so sorry, keep getting it wrong. Coventry University in the UK. I co-lead a cluster called Sustainable Production and Consumption. I just wanted to say hello to the audience online who's joining us online, wherever you are. I hope I find you in a good health. So in the next probably 15-20 minutes, I'm going to talk about my recent research in the area of bioplastics management, innovation management, and the title of my presentation is Social Innovation Management for Bioplastics. So the main background of the research, as we know that plastic has been a problem for us, for our life, and our society. And in Europe alone, about 20 or more than 25 million tons of plastics produced, but only less than 30% of them being collected for recycling. So we still have a lot of homework to do in terms of this plastic management. And however, the awareness of plastics obviously increased in the last few years, so that then the innovation in terms of biopolymers, in terms of innovation of bioplastics has been a success story. Yeah, as we know that bioplastic is a new thing coming up. However, bioplastics also poses few challenges. And let's take a look at these challenges. So the first one is the word bio. As we all know, the word bio is a very sexy word. It is implying it's a good thing. Anything bio is good. Oh, sorry, thank you. So bio means good things. So, but we'll see whether bioplastic truly is good plastics. Okay. So the problem, however, is that there are so many different types of plastic. The variety of that, as you can see here in this diagram, there are some good plastics, so some good bioplastics, but there are some not so good bioplastics. So unless we know exactly, unless we know the inside of these biopolymers, it is very difficult, it is very hard for us to judge how good the bioplastic actually is. Most importantly, that the issue with bioplastics is how we're going to treat that product at the end of life. With the conventional plastic, it's obvious that we need to recycle it. We have a definite route for collecting or for processing these fossil fuel plastics. However, with bioplastic, it's not so easy because depending on the type of bioplastics, we need to understand the route for waste management. So we have received a research grant from the Economic and Social Research Council in the UK. We collaborated with 4 countries in Brazil, Canada, and Poland to work on the so-called social intervention on how to address the environmental and social challenges of bioplastics. The methods that we conducted, there are 3 steps. The first one is the Social Innovation Lab, number 1, which sees the current system and to increase our understanding of current systems of bioplastics. And secondly, we try to define or develop solutions based on the gap that we found. And then finally, to prototype our solutions. Unfortunately, I won't be able to have time to go through this in detail. However, I have picked number 1, the Social Innovation Lab, number 1 being the critical, because if we don't do well in the first one, I think the second and the third one is also in trouble. So the Social Innovation Lab, number 1, seeing the system. So the objectives are to obtain a consensus. Consensus means agreement amongst the stakeholders of bioplastics. in order to better understand the current packaging supply chain of bioplastics, particularly the biodegradable bioplastics. Once we identify, or once we understand the system, if you like, we will then be able to identify the barriers and the opportunities for developing the supply chain of biodegradable bioplastics. What we have found from our first steps in the Social Innovation Lab is that the supply chain of bioplastics consists of three main parts. The first one is the production, the second one is the consumption, and the third one is waste management. So if I tell you the typical or the common supply chain shapes, is usually we produce something, yeah? We produce goods or services, and then we deliver this product and services to our customers, and the customers will finally use that product. We don't normally think about life after the customers. So after we deliver the product to the customers, goodbye, it's yours. It's not my problem. However, in bioplastics, because it is intended to be biodegradable, we need to really understand what happens after customers using it. Okay? So this is the map of bioplastic supply chain. As you can see, it's quite interesting, but it's quite complex too. So the bioplastic starts with, of course, the scientists developing biopolymers, and then these biopolymers becoming pellets. Pellets may be sold to the OEM producing plates or packaging or plastic forks or spoons or whatever it is, or glass cups. And then at the end of life, and then those cups, spoon and everything will be used by the customers, as you can see in the middle part of that. However, if you look at this, the complexity actually towards the very right of this diagram. So as you can see, and you can guess now, that the complexity of bioplastics lies in the waste management. And the success, and we in Europe identify the main success criteria or main success factors for deploying bioplastics in the society is the waste management systems. As you can see in this slide, I don't want to go into very detail of this, but as you can see, these are some problems that we found. Particularly if you look at the main one, the middle one, the consumption side, consumers are confused. Confused of what? Confused of this different types of bioplastics. Yeah? If the bioplastics is intended to be biodegradable, so it should be biodegradable, in your garden perhaps, becoming compost. But of course, there are types of bioplastics that cannot be degraded at home. It has to go to a dedicated facilities, dedicated anaerobic digestion, yeah, and a full industrial scale of biodegradable. Oops. Number two is difficult to identify and dispose of compostable and non-compostable plastic. They cannot be mixed. The moment you mix the non-biodegradable and degradable, it's against the principle. So why are you doing bioplastics if you cannot distinguish between the biodegradable and non-biodegradable? Inaccuracy between product labeling. So when you look at plastic product, you see at the label, and you see different companies, different countries will have different standards of labeling. And therefore, if you go to Japan, Japan has got a very good systems for labeling plastic system. However, they are delaying moving towards bioplastics because they said, we have invested so much in the fossil fuel plastics recovery, and therefore we want to understand better. There are so many types of different biopolymers, and therefore we want to wait. So these are some of the findings, but the next one, I guess, is more interesting for all of us. So we have collected all of these problems and grouped them into 6 different context of problems. So the first one is that we know that there are problems with communicating the message of sustainability to our customers. Number two, we need to develop educational program. We cannot just, this is a good thing with Japan. Japan is very, very well advanced in this arena because they develop education systems right from the schools on how to segregate plastics. So we need to adopt that kind of activity, the same thing with bioplastics. Number three, we need to identify or we need to develop certification systems so that we cannot easily claim biodegradable plastics. I'm sure you have heard about oxoplastics. Some companies or some factories claiming that my plastic is biodegradable is actually not. It only crumbles into microplastics, which in fact a lot more dangerous, because it's microplastic you cannot see. It goes into the plant. If you put microplastics, the microplastic will be absorbed by a plant, and you eat the plant, and you finally eat the microplastics. Guidelines on how to develop, including developing the labeling system, so that the customers understand where to throw this away. Number four, specific product and feedstocks. We have, as a scientist, a biopolymer scientist, we need to continue to develop the next generation of bioplastics. End of life, we need to understand, like I said to you before, end of life is one of the important features in bioplastics management. But number six, again, is very, very critical to develop governance systems. If we do not have regulations, if we do not govern system, it's not going to work. Anywhere in the world, in Indonesia or in Europe, there has to be a regulation. There has to be a law that enforces people to do the right thing. Out of those six, I deliberately only picked one. So this is the recent work carried out by one of my PhD students. I recruited a PhD students with slightly different background. I usually recruited them from the engineering or science or management, but this time I recruited a PhD students with DKV background. DKV stands for apa ya? Design Komunikasi Visual. So he's from Indonesia. His background is DKV because I want to understand, I want to learn how DKV people communicate through symbol, through illustration, through pictures. So the aim of the study, or his study, not my study, his study, is to investigate mechanisms in communicating bioplastic packaging that can then shape consumer adoption and waste management. In order for him to understand the behavior or the mechanisms of communications, he needs to adopt a theoretical lens. And the theoretical lens that he adopted is called the signaling theory. By adopting a theory, he hopes to be able to identify the components of the signals, the environment that disturb the signals or reduce the quality of signals, so that then the receiver can learn or can receive the message being transmitted. So for instance, in his latest papers published at the Business Strategy and the Environment, he identified the components of signals, for instance, cost, visibility, clarity, fit, consistency, credibility, as well as other components in that. So his research is about testing or validating these components. He adopted case studies of and the data collections coming from 20 different subjects, consisting of academics, consisting of producers and also consumers. And these are some of the questions. I don't think I have to go into this in detail, but you're welcome to have my presentations. This presentation is currently being reviewed at a journal, so when they are published, I would be more than happy to share with you. I can share this sort of excerpt of that, the trailers, like a movie. There's a trailer, and when the movie comes out, you are most welcome to watch it. So these are some profiles of the subjects, organizations, the roles, and the years of experience, and so on. So these are the codes. So as you know, as a qualitative researchers, we have to be able to provide credibility, robustness of our research method. So any interview transcript will need to be coded properly. And these are the codes. And we learn from the cross-case analysis of the cases. And the next table you can see here is the result of that. So from these tables, we will be able to validate this model that there are, the most important part in here, of course the top part is the signal, and these are all normally validated because we learn from literature review anyway, from literature. So we know the components of signal that are important for the success. We know the components of the receivers, signalers, but the very important part here is the bottom one, that actually our subjects, the 20 subjects, put emphasis on the other factors that are critical for the success of eco-labeling. And they are price, pro-environmental attitude of the stakeholders, the waste sorting habit. So we have to rely on the habit of the consumers to be able to segregate. Yeah. And in order for them to segregate, we need to help them with the right eco-labels. And finally, the availability of waste infrastructure. So in conclusions, at this moment, we can conclude that eco-labels can effectively function as a means of communicating packaging material qualities and then can encourage the consumer adoption and responsible disposal of bioplastic packaging. So in order for the bioplastics packaging to become successful, it has to be affordable, it has to embrace the positive environmental attitudes, it has to provide the waste sorting facilities as well as encourage waste sorting habits. So as a future work, we will continue developing these eco-labels by using the DCAFE principles of design and communication visuals, and how that design will then help future development of eco-labels, not only packaging, but also many other bioplastic products, including spoons, plates, and any other things. Okay, so with that, I conclude my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much for Professor Cahyono. Thank you for the enlightening speech about bioplastics. It's very eye-opening, especially related to the waste management system. Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the next presentation that will be delivered by Dr. Mohammed Faisal Kabir. He earned his doctoral degree in ecology from Kyungpook National University, South Korea. And he's currently a manager for research, documentation, and reporting at CARE International Bangladesh. He's enthusiastically interested in contributing to knowledge management, developmental research and teaching, consultancy, and with key expertise in agricultural livelihood research, climate resilient agriculture, disaster risk reduction, displacement, and migration. Without further ado, please welcome Dr. Muhammad Faisal Kabir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming me. I just wanted to make sure I have a video included in my presentation to make sure whether it is running in the slides.
Okay, yes.
If not working, I can bring my laptop.
So there is a video inside your PPT, yeah? Okay, let me check. Video di dalam PPT. He just want to check whether it's working. Next slide.
USAID-funded Shuhardo 3+ activity of CARE Bangladesh introduced self-organized savings and loan groups as VSLAs in remote Char and Deep Hair areas in Bangladesh. These community-based savings groups enable the rural
Okay, is everything okay? All right, yeah, time's yours, yeah.
So thank you again, and welcome to my presentation. So I'm Faisal Kabir. I'm working in CARE International, basically located in Bangladesh, CARE Bangladesh. So I work for Shuhardo 3 project under CARE Bangladesh. So today in my presentation, I will talk about the key findings of our recently conducted studies, which has been conducted under our Research and Knowledge Management Unit, the loan-taking experiences of the poor from informal and formal sources in Bangladesh. So, before I jump into the detail of the presentation, I would like to give you a glimpse what is CARE Bangladesh and what the current project is doing. So, the project name is Shuhardo 3+ activity, which is funded by USAID. The full meaning of Shuhardo is strengthening household ability to respond to development opportunities, Shuhardo 3+. So, basically, this is the 4th phase. It started a decades ago with the name of Shuhardo, and then Shuhardo 1, 2, 3. So after successful completion of the 3 phase, now we are moving into the 4th phase, which is called the 3+ activities. The overall goal of this project is to improve gender equitable resilience food and nutrition security to at least 168,000 people from the northern region of Bangladesh until 2024. So currently, our project is covering 8 districts of Bangladesh, 23 upazilas, 115 unions, and 945 villages. So as I mentioned, okay. So our program, you can see the map of Bangladesh here. The left side, this is called the Chol land, which is a northern side of Bangladesh. Basically, it is covered by water during the wet season, but rest of the season, it remains very dry. And the other one is wetland, which is a saucer-shaped yellow depression, especially the wet season is fully covered by water and people get stuck. So these are the main 2 reasons where our program currently focusing on. So as I mentioned, the Shuhardo 3's main activity focuses on to achieving the increased equitable access to income and improve nutritious food for both women and men to foster the objectives. So in order to move on and to get the objectives of this project, we initiated the local service provider. So local service providers are introduced by this program, which are working in 4 mechanisms: poverty alleviation, women empowerment, economic opportunities, climate resilience practices. So these are basically from the community who engaged in the community and serve for the community. And in return, they receive some financial benefits. So currently, the program introduced 7 different types of LSP or local service provider, which are mentioned like Sanchay Sathi, Seed Agent, Vaccinator, etc., etc. But in this study, we mainly focus on the Sanchay Sathi, which are also known as the saving agent. So why we conducted this research? As I mentioned earlier, we are working in the Char and Haur area, especially dry and wetland. So in the dry and wetland, the community people and their livelihood are diverse. People basically come from the very poor and extreme poor. They have very limited amount of income, engaging livelihood opportunities. So they have very less access to the financial inclusions, resulting they often need to hang on their life due to availability of financial opportunities. And especially the monsoon flood, flash flood, or maybe the storms, their livelihood is hampering quite frequently. So as a result, the existing financial institutions, the banking access, they have like diverse conditions to get the assistance from these opportunities. So we basically want to see how this relationship going on, want to understand, and what can we offer for them to improve their livelihood mechanism, especially for the financial inclusion. So that's why we conducted this research. And we think we need to create some future research legacy for the advocacy purpose to propose in the policy brief for the nationally. So that's why we conducted this research. So the main objective of this research was to explore the necessity of financial inclusion for the poor and extreme poor people. But basically, we divided into 4 specific objectives for this study. First of all, to evaluate the challenges and prospects inherent in prevailing the loan infrastructure of the poor and extreme poor people. Secondly, to analyze the loan requirement and borrowing pattern of the community people. And thirdly, to explain the symbiotic relationship between the community people and the existing loan infrastructure. And finally, to propose innovative strategies for fostering the financial inclusion and explore how these approaches can bring out transformative changes. So basically, we did qualitative research, no quantitative. All the interviews are conducted within the Sanchay Sathis, the saving agent especially, the VSLA members, NGOs, non-government organizations, financial inclusion institutions, commercial banks, and project personnel. So a total of 16 FGDs, focus group discussions, 24 in-depth interviews, and 26 key informant interviews were conducted. And after getting the primary information, we triangulate with secondary literature review, and then finally prepare the draft report and presenting here. So next few slides, I'll be talking more about the savings as in VSLA or self-organized savings and loan group. So I think it's better to understand what VSLA is so that you can understand the next few slides, please.
USAID-funded Suharto 3+ activity of CARE Bangladesh introduced self-organized savings and loan groups as VSLAs in remote Char and deep Hayar areas in Bangladesh. These community-based savings groups enable the rural poor, particularly women, to invest in savings and take out loans for their immediate needs. These savings groups usually consist of 15 to 25 neighboring members. The groups organize regular meetings with members. Local service providers, known as Sanchay Sathis, village agents, form these groups by orienting potential group members on the benefits of joining the savings and loan group. After group formation, a management committee is selected and trained in group operation. Groups establish their own bylaws that outline the frequency of meetings, the amount of savings to be deposited. Each group is provided with a money box, 3 padlocks, and a register book. One member is assigned to keep the box safe in their home, and the other 3 members have the keys for 3 padlocks. The group completes a cycle in 1 year, does the share-out process, and starts a new cycle. The year-end profit from savings is shared out based on the number of shares purchased by each member. Till now 1882 VSLA Group formed. 36,540 member, 93% are women. Participation in group-based savings increases social cohesion, which results in greater financial inclusion of marginalized groups, especially women who are often excluded from formal financial services. USAID.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video and understand what VSLA is. So let's move on to our findings. So based on the primary and secondary findings, we found that there are 3 different sources currently from where the community people can get access to their financial inclusion. First of all, the informal sources, which are included the private money lenders or close acquaintances, or as well as the self-organized savings and loan groups. The second one is NGO-MFIs, and the third one is commercial or specialist bank institutions or leasing companies, which is grouped as in the formal institutions. So, what are the role of NGO-MFIs in rural loan infrastructure? 95% of the respondents have taken at least a single loan from the listed NGO-MFIs. 42% of the chore, the dry area, and 68% of the Haur, wetland area, have taken loan from the NGO-MFIs. Based on the literature review of 2019, there are approximately 250 listed MFIs, NGOs working in the chore and Haur area. And because of the diverse nature of their low incomes, it is very, very crucial for them to provide the facilities. So, what are their minimum loan requirement, loan need of the community people? Based on our findings, the chore, they depicted that the minimum loan need ranges from 4,000 to 6,000 BDT, which ranges from 36 to 55 US dollars. It's very less, very low. And it's the same for the wetland, 4,000 to 6,000. But however, the second highest loan need in the wetland is above 20,000. This is because of the diverse nature of the livelihood opportunities. In case of the wetland, they have the opportunities to engage themselves in boat tourism or fishing or something like this. So that's why they need some extra money to engage themselves in the livelihood opportunities. So that's why the second highest loan need ranges above 20,000 BD. But in case of the dry land, it remains still very low. So we know the minimum loan need they need from the financial institution, but let's move on to how much the existing NGO-MFIs offer for the community. So based on their findings, the minimum loan they are offering for the community people is 10,000, which is like approximately 90 US dollar, which is very less. Still, it is higher than the minimum loan need of the community people. So what the community people are doing? Can you go back to the previous one? Yeah, this one. So, as I mentioned, the minimum loan need of the community people ranges from 4,000 to 6,000, which is approximately 36 to 55 US dollar. But the NGO-MFIs offer more than $60. But there is a big differences. So what they're doing? Firstly, from the formal, informal sources and NGO-MFIs, when the community people the need ranges between $45 or below that, they mostly rely to the close acquaintances. For example, if I need money, first of all, I go around, search my friends and families if they can help me out. When the amount is above 10,000, which is 90 US dollar or higher than that, only then they can go to the listed NGO and MFI. However, in case of commercial bank, currently their existing branches and activities, banking activities are still very limited. So that's why I would say like our findings says more than 90% of the community people, they don't have any access to the commercial bank. So that's why they mostly rely to the close acquaintances, private money lenders, or NGO-MFIs. So what happened to NGO-MFIs? To acquire a loan from the listed NGO-MFIs, first of all, they need to become a member, first of all. And then after becoming member, they need to deposit certain amount of money. And then when they deposit money, after that, only they can acquire loan. So, and when they apply for the loan, they need to submit some paper documents. For example, there are NID cards, photographs, and some guarantor signatures. But interestingly, 90% of the community people, they are not literate. They don't know how to sign, or they don't have that much credibility to get the NID or photo. So that's why they face challenges. And number three, they have to input a significant amount of time for the communication cost. They need to visit their offices locally, travel, and come back to their own community. So these are the main challenges. And most importantly, here, if they get a loan, they need to pay a high interest, which is almost 24% interest, very high. And the repayment policy. Although the repayment policy says the initial interest rate is 24%, but the repayment modality is weekly basis. So that's why the effective interest rate goes up to maybe 31.3%, which is very high. What happened to the private money lenders? Private money lenders doesn't mix up with the NGMFIs. They don't need any paper documents. So most of the community people still rely on the private money lenders. But their interest rate is still higher than the NGMFIs, which goes up to 20 to 30%. But you may have a question, why the community people still go to the private money lenders knowing that the interest rate is higher? Because of the digital literacy, financial literacy. As I mentioned, they try to avoid submitting paper documents. So that's why still they rely on the private money lenders. So this is the interesting thing, what our project offering for the community people. As I mentioned, you watched the video, learn how the VSLA works. So whenever a member becomes a member of VSLA group, he or she can apply for 3 folds higher than what she deposit. For example, if a member deposit 500 or maybe 20 US dollar, he or she can avail or apply for 60 US dollar. And here, the interest rate is very low, only 5%. But this is the maximum. Even this can be decided within the group, whether the interest rate is 4% or 5%, or the repayment policy, it is also discussable. For example, within the group, they can decide whether I can repay the loan maybe next 3 months or 4 months or 5 months. Within the group, they decide. And if a member failed to return the money within the given time period, he or she has to pay 5 taka, which is below 0.50 US dollar for the repayment fees. But interestingly, these repayment fees at the end of the cycle are distributing within the group members. So that means whenever I pay money, I still have the share of that money. So this is how the VSLA works and offering. But there are some limitations of these VSLA groups. So member can only apply whenever he returns back the previous loan, and it can only serve their immediate loan need. For example, if a household needs to pay his children's school fees or buy some agricultural products for fertilizers, pesticides, only these needs can be fulfilled within the VSLA groups. But the recent progress, so based on the communication with the different financial organizations and the Central Bank of Bangladesh, they have recently recognized our VSLA model and introduced 10 taka account opening schemes, which is $1 account opening schemes for the poor and extreme poor community, which is a big achievement for the project. And for that, currently about 2,500 community people have opened the bank account in the mentioned region, and which has created a new dimension for the community people. Whether they previously cannot think of going to the bank, now they are getting access to the bank because of our project activities. So what we are thinking, what next? As I mentioned, the VSLA group found to be very decent, organized. They need to be included in the national financial inclusions from the government side. And since the government has included 10 taka account opening schemes for the poor and extreme poor, the commercial bank, they need to come forward to speed up the process. And they need to open new branches in the mentioned Chor and Howrah area so that all the community members, they have the direct access to the commercial banks. And they need to offer similar loan products which is offered by the VSLA group, and also to provide them digital training and literacy training for them so that they need to go to the bank with the application of the mobile or internet. They can directly access to the bank and get the loan assistance from there. So this is what we come up, and here I conclude my presentation or discussion. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation about VSLA, Dr. Kabir. Here. Now, dear audience, we move to the third presentation that will be delivered by Professor Nanang Dwi Cahyono from Politeknik Negeri Jember, Indonesia. And Professor Wahyono is a faculty member at graduate program Politeknik Negeri Jember. He earned his doctoral degree in animal science, majoring in livestock agribusiness from Universitas Brawijaya, Indonesia, and his research track record has been demonstrated by winning a number of research grants from the Indonesian government. He's also actively involved in a number of community service projects related to livestock agribusiness. And on this occasion, he's presenting a presentation entitled Enhancing Economic Welfare for Dairy Farmers Through Capital Development in Indonesia. Professor Wahyono, the stage is yours. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Thank you for your participation in the ICoSHIP 2023. In this moment, I will discuss about economic welfare for dairy farmers in Indonesia, and then many problems, especially for dairy farmers. We will discuss about the condition of dairy farming in Indonesia. Indonesia actually have people 270 million, and the fourth most populous country in the world. This ranked number 4. The first is China with 1.4 billion people, and second with India with 1.3 billion people. And then follow with United States, 331 million people. And Indonesia is a very big people, more than 270 million people. Agriculture contribute approximately 14 to country GDP, and employs almost 35% of its workforce. Livestock is an important component of the agriculture sector, providing employment and income to millions of people. The second, the domestic whole milk output has increased by only 2% per year, and milk consumption climbed by 5% per year. And domestic fresh milk production in Indonesia only meets about 13%. As a result, Indonesia still needs to import skim milk, buttermilk, powder, and the other form of dairy products. And then the potential area, they are beneficial to the development of the dairy cattle industry, should be maximized to increase profit and mitigate losses caused by low selling prices of cow milk from small-scale farmer, and to minimize potential threat to dairy producer due to government policies regarding the exemption of import duties for dairy products. We can about concept of SLF. Several key elements of SLF involve 5 main assets in the influence of livelihood of an individual or a group. Namely, number 1 is human capital, consists skills, knowledge, and individual hearts. And the number 2 is social capital, consists of a social network, relationship, and support from the community or the group. And number 3, physical capital is infrastructure, land, and other physical resources that can be utilized. And number 4, about capital finance, financial capital consists of viability of funds, savings, and other financial assets. And the last, natural capital, natural resources such as land, water, and flora fauna then can be utilized. The Sustainable Livelihood Framework helps in designing programs of development policies that can enhance the livelihoods of community sustainable. About Sustainable Livelihood Framework, the Sustainable Livelihood Framework is an analytical framework used to understand forest factors that can influence substance choice, and examining the interacting factor, including skill, material resources, social asset, and the approach used by individuals and communities to sustain their livelihoods, providing an accurate perception and comprehensive portrait of the reality of community life. The research was conducted in a location with a population of more than 22,000 people, where 51% of the population is male and the remaining is female. In that area, there are more than 2,000 productive dairy cows, with individual farmers owning varying number of cows ranging from 5 to 25 cows. Out of this total number of dairy cattle, 122 tons of milk are produced each day, and all of it managed by the local cooperative. In order to ensure comprehensive data collection, the data gathered encompasses various topics related to the 5 sustainability capital, namely human, social, natural, physical, and financial. Each capital includes a set of specific attributes that are subsequently used for analysis. To further elaborate on the methodology used, a comprehensive model was created taking into account the interrelationship between the 5 different types of capital and the impact on the economic well-being of dairy farmer. Smart PLS was chosen as the analytical tool due to sample size and the need for both inner and other models. About the racial and discussion about demographic and farmer profile. The collected demographic data, age, education, number of family member, and monthly income play a significant role in the analysis conducted. One example is that age and income level can explain household economic stability and spending capacity. In front of that's a picture pie chart where is smaller than 25 years old, only 11.6%, and then biggest is 27.3 for group for 45 and 54 years old. The study also collected data on the demographic characteristics of the respondent. Based on the age distribution, the majority of respondents fall within the 25 to 54 age group. Of this, 27.3% of the respondents are in the 45 until 54 age group, indicating that the workforce is predominantly dominated by age group. Basic education, it can be explained that there is correlation between the level of education and work efficiency and opportunities to transition to more sustainable farming practice. While most farmers have only complete primary education, there are potential for further education to enhance effectiveness and encourage the adoption of social sustainable practices and not in professors' research. And then about of number of family members, it's explained that the number of family members can have a negative impact of household food security. However, based on previous research, the familial relationship among family members can enable farmers to enhance decision-making efficiency and take advantage of existing development opportunities. In this table, we can see about the financial, human, natural, physical, and social. For the p-value, they all less than 0.05. The relationship between the 5 forms of capital and the economic well-being of farmers significantly contribute to improving their livelihood. As depicted in the table above, human, natural, physical, social, and financial capital all exert significant and positive influence on the economic well-being of farmers. In the inner model, we can see designing more effective well-being enhancement strategies. The inner model indicate that the 5 dimensions of a capital have significant influence on the economic well-being of farmers. We can see the human with the 5 attributes and social with 10 attributes can influence for the well-being of farmer. Discuss about a financial, about 5 model. The first, financial capital, is significantly related to the economic well-being of farmers. Economic difficulties are related concern are closely tied to farmers' well-being. Financial capital refer to individual access to financial resources, which affect their capacity and flexibility to adapt to change. And number 2, physical. Capital is also highly essential for running a dairy cattle business. Adequate equipment is necessary to maximize profit and minimize losses effectively. Biggest production from animal waste, especially cow dung, offers numerous potential benefits, including the generation of environmentally friendly renewable energy by utilizing livestock waste. And the capital number 3, a social capital consistency has a positive impact on the economic well-being of farmers. Strong collaboration and mutual assistance among farmers, both in the livestock sector and in daily life, have resulted in lower levels of conflict between the community with local government. And number 4, about capital of natural. Natural capital plays a crucial role in ensuring human well-being and the mental well-being of dairy farmers, significantly influencing the approach to animal welfare. Therefore, it's important to pay attention to the availability of food and feed to support the development of sustainable farming. And the last, number 5, the quality of human. The quality of human resources, especially through the educational aspect, has a significant impact on improving the standard of living. Study results also indicate that the education and skill level of farmers has substantial influence on the implementation of sustainable farming practices. Therefore, encouraging the community to pursue higher education is crucial for the future development of dairy farming business. Additionally, the health aspect of human resources is crucial to support business success. Farmers with poor health have lower resilience to cope with vulnerabilities to change. In conclusion, in order to enhance the economic well-being of dairy farmers in Indonesia, government policies should focus on the development of the 5 farms of capital: human, social, natural, physical, and financial. Similarly, academics should provide recommendation for the development of this capital dimension, enabling collaboration between communities, academics, and the government. The study findings have important implications for policymakers to improve farmers' well-being, promote sustainable farming practice, and facilitate access to capital, especially human, social, natural, physical, and financial. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much for delivering a comprehensive presentation, Professor Wahyono. I think I need to be a little bit careful because I slipped my tongue. There are Professor Wahyono and Professor Cahyono. Okay. Okay, now we come to the question and answer session for audience. For those of you who would like to inquire, please mention your full name and to whom your inquiry or your question is addressed. Okay, please, yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, please come forward, sir. Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, Professor, Allah Professor here. My name is Muhammad Awaluddin. I am from Universitas Islam Negeri Wali Songo, Semarang. I have some question. The first question for Prof. Beni. I'm very interested with the material. In Indonesia, bioplastic is not familiar. Is not familiar in Indonesia. But the question is, some irony in Indonesia, some market or supermarket now they don't give us plastic when buy something.
Okay.
But the product that I buy is product packaging with plastic. This is some irony in Indonesia. But the point is, I want to ask, are the bioplastic will get to the point replacing the packaging of the product, or just replacing plastic from plastic to the bioplastic? And then, because in some, I check in website, some of the websites say bioplastics not waterproof, no strength, easy damage, and the cost of product is more than the plastic convention. It will go to the change the product packaging or just change from plastic convent to bioplastic. It's the first. Can I have?
Yes, okay. Still to Professor Beni Cahyono?
No.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to answer first?
Yeah,
I think
okay.
we'd better, otherwise
Yes.
I forget.
Okay, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Very nice questions. But I didn't get your name, but I'm sorry.
Awaluddin.
Awaluddin, Pak Awaluddin.
Pak
Okay.
Awaluddin.
I guess the way or the directions I'm going to answer these questions is by looking at the 6 clusters of potential solutions that we are offering from the workshops, the lab. If you remember my slide, there are 6 clusters of solutions, and if the success of bioplastics, in my opinion, can only be sort of deployed or can only be felt if you or if we apply those 6, or if we addressed those 6 clusters, not 1, not 2, but all 6. However, the question is that, of course, we are talking about time. And one of the things is attitude as well. So if you compare that, or if you use that analogy, you're concerned about you buying product containing plastics, but you don't get plastics. For me, it's an advancement, because in the past, you were buying plastics, wrapped in plastics, and you're given plastic bags too.
Yes.
So for me, it's an advancement. And I grew up in Indonesia. I also felt that when I was young, I throw away plastics everywhere. Yeah. But now I think the younger generation is different. It's better. And also, if you go to supermarket, now you get used to buying something and bring your own bags.
Right, exactly, yes.
When I arrived in the UK in 1997, the same. The UK also a plastic country. At the same year, I visited Germany, and they already banned plastic bags from the shops. So the switch, to me, it's already an advancement of that. And you're absolutely right, that the transition from fossil fuel plastics to a bioplastics takes time, and there is a process of that. That's why it's called transition, because otherwise it's called jump. Its transition means that you need some process, and you will require lots of things, as I said to you before, the 6 things, from education system, from labeling, certification, and the most important thing is also governance. Yeah. As long as, if we do not have a strong governance, I think it's also going to be very difficult. Yeah. So please be patient.
Yeah.
We are all transitioning towards the same directions, and I'm sure one time, or we will get there.
Okay, thank you for the comprehensive answer, Professor Benny Cahyono. Yeah, do you still want to deliver? Okay, thank you, Bapak Awaludin. Yeah, please give applause for Bapak Awaludin and also for Professor Cahyono. Now, I'd like to invite another question from the audience. Is there any question? Yes, please, Ibu. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay, Ibu.
Thank you for the time for me to ask for the question. My name is Milawati. I come from Politeknik Negeri Jember, a lecturer. And I want to ask to Mr. Faisal, yes,
Okay.
about the project, the Swardo projects. I really personally interested in the project because I think especially in developing country, we really need this kind of project to live up to develop the life of the poor, especially. And I want to know what is the future projection, maybe the intention, direction for this project in the future, and can it be implemented in another country outside of Bangladesh, especially mungkin in Indonesia, because we have so many people marginalized. Like in capital city, we have so marginalized people right there, and also in other places in Indonesia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Milawati, for the question.
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting question, and I'm glad to answer your question. First of all, we have some advantages and disadvantages working within a project. First of all, while working within a project, we need to focus on specific objectives. For example, the Shohado 3+, we have 3 definite focus points: agriculture, nutritious food, financial inclusion, and women empowerment. Beyond that objectives we can go. So what is the ultimate goal of this project? So first of all, we need to make sure that all the community people, they get access to the banking services, and they get their required amount of money or loan facilities within the existing loan infrastructure. So that's why the project introduced the VSLA model. For your attention, I would like to mention here, this VSLA model currently being implemented or practiced within 61 different countries of the world, not only Bangladesh, but also other countries, part of the countries, especially in the the African region and the countries where least developed. So our ultimate goal, this model is primarily recognized within the maybe some part of the financial institutions. So as I mentioned in the way forward slide, this model needs to be recognized with the national financial inclusion strategy so that the government as well as the policymakers, they know how this, the model is being working. Second, yes, obviously, these projects can be implemented or being conducted in other countries. For instance, here in CARE International, we have 40 different countries working. I'm sure in Indonesia, they're also working. So based on the goal and objectives of the specific projects, they can set their goals for the upcoming projects. I'm sure maybe it's highly possible. Thank you very much for your question.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Kabir, for the answer. Yeah, okay, because we have another question from Ibu next to Ibu Milawati, please.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Sadia
Waalaikumsalam.
Basi. I'm from Afghanistan. I'm really surprised that this three presentation in here was covering three different aspects of sustainability. When we come in terms of sustainability, we always look in a specific main three parts of the planet, people, and profit. So which these three presentation was covering three different aspects of this sustainable concept. But I'm just wondering that every research, every study that we do, we basically focus on our own perspective, our own goal, and it's really hard for us to look either in the lower level or in the upper level of our research, which is out of our circle. So we prefer to stay in our own circle, which as Professor mentioned that when the plastics are produced, so when we sell our product, after that we say, okay, bye-bye, tata. And also when we cut to the welfare or packaging of the agriculture things, so we still focus on plastic to get it and then start the packaging. So I'm looking, or I'm wondering that in terms of applying the financial aids for that low-income community in terms of the packaging for the agricultures and welfare for the agricultures, and in terms of bioplastic, how we can find a synergized or a common goal between these three perspectives to implement this project at the same time. While you're helping the low-income people to learn how to do their saving and how to do reinvestment, how we can also teach them that these aspects need to be considered from the very first step. While we are looking on the bioplastic from the very advanced perspective, which currently we're working for the sustainable environment and change of plastic to bioplastic, how we can start from there to teach the lower, or how we can look on the low income and equal people around our community, that while we are able to implement in the market, they should not be affected. In sense, in economic growth, as much as the economic is growing, we have a highest number of inequality as well, which that inequality cause to have this kind of issues. And in terms of welfare, how we can reduce this to change all this environment and make a synergized community for this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So this must be delivered to every keynote speaker here. Okay, who wanna start first? Dr. Kabir, all right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's very, very interesting question, especially covering all the three
Yes.
presentations. So I would like to give you a special thank for raising your questions. First of all, I believe we all three agreed that the things, the positive attitude of the community is most important. Because whenever we do some research and come up with some specific findings, especially in case of the social research, there are some objectives and the behind story, back story. So what I believe from my presentation, so we need to provide some specific behavioral change strategy for the community people for accepting the digital literacy. So we need to make the strategy in such a way so that all the community people being attracted, they need to know, yes, exactly I need to follow this strategy. I need to become literate in case of digital literacy or financial literacy. So we need to offer some specific point, although we have not decided. Maybe I can take this point for my planning for my next program or activity. Yeah, that's all what I can explain. Thank you very much. And
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kabir. Now, Professor Cahyono will continue to answer.
Thank you. Again, similarly, very nice questions. Well done to you. I wouldn't be able to offer a magic bullet, magic wand here. As you know, the issue here is complex. It's a complex issue, and therefore I like the slides that I put in there, the 6 thing. So if we say that none of these 6 will be able to work individually, they have to be work in conjunction with another one or all of them, if it's possible, ideally. So for instance, when we say how to make it bioplastic accessible to people at the lower level, whatever it is that you mentioned before, for me the key is probably be the biopolymer itself. So if we can find a biopolymer and the process of making bioplastic cheaper, because that's the calculations. If it's cheaper, then people will naturally choose it. As long as they're still expensive, nobody will look at it. Yeah. Unless, of course, there is another stick. So for example, if you're not using this, then you die, for instance. Then people will use it. But again, that's why I'm saying a combination between the development of new materials, the governance, education, communications, certification, and also waste facilities. This 6 combination for me is a potential solutions, but the question is which one is first, whether we do 1, 2, 3, whether we do 6, 5, 4. This is the next questions. And I think the success of this remains to be seen as to how we cleverly play with these 6 levers. I hope that gives you a little bit of answers. I'm sure I'm not answering your questions completely, but at least I'm offering something for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Cahyono. Yeah, do you want to add something, Professor Nanang?
Okay, thank you. That's a very, very good question. A solution of this problem, I think Prof. Kabir, Prof. Penny, and me need research collaboration. Because until now, the produce of dairy farmer, perhaps all produce packing by plastic. And then, if possible, we need research collaboration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the answers from the 3 keynote speakers. Yeah, it's a complicated thing, yeah. And we need to start from behavioral change, society habit, and then 6 aspects from Professor Cahyono, and also perhaps collaborative research, yeah, that we can do. Okay, yeah. I'm sure that most of the audiences are still having questions about those 3 interesting topics, but seems that we're running out of time, yeah? Yeah, okay, so let's close with this, dear honorable keynote speakers. You may answer my questions only in 1 word, 1 simple question. What's the one thing related to a sustainable future that you think you and everybody in this room should be thinking about? Yeah, you can give us 1 word related to sustainable future. Yes.
it should be the perception of the community.
Perception of
Perception of the community. Because, you know, you have to have the positive attitude to accept the policies. For example, if I'm offering them, okay, you accept the bioplastics, or maybe go for the financial literacy. If I am not willing to accept your offer, I'll never be get benefited. So positive attitude is first.
Okay, attitude, yeah, that's 1 word from Dr. Kabir. Okay, thank you so much. What about Professor Cahyono?
I would say commitment.
Commitment, great, thank you. Yeah.
But of course, with commitments, there are other other things too. Coming. All right.
Okay, yeah, thank you. What about Professor Nanang Dwi Wahyono? One word related to
One word.
sustainable future.
The academic must go to farmer diary.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, now, dear audience, please give the keynote speakers a warm round of applause. Yeah. Okay, now to wrap up, sustainability is not a choice, but a responsibility we all share. By understanding the importance of sustainability and making conscious choices, we can create a positive impact on our planet, society, and future generations. Thank you. That's all the keynote session and discussion for the 4th ICoSHIP 2023. And before ending this session, I'd like to remind you that the parallel session is going to be held at 1 p.m., right? Okay. And your presence in the parallel session is compulsory. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oh, okay. For keynote speakers. Oh, okay, okay, yeah. And there are souvenirs for the okay, for the two keynote speakers, and we would like to invite Bapak Atma Diharja. Yeah, please step forward, Pak Atma Diharja. Okay, to deliver the souvenirs to Dr. Faisal Kabir and to Professor Benny Cahyono. Okay, from outside Politeknik Negeri Jember. Yeah, and also Professor Nanang Dwi Wahyono can stand up here. Okay, and see that. Okay, and we would also like to invite Bapak Suratono, the Vice Director of Academic Affairs, to deliver the souvenir for Professor Benny Cahyono from Coventry University. Okay, thank you so much. Now we come to the photo session. Yeah, for the three keynote speakers and also for the Vice Director of, Bapak Agung Wahyono, and also Bapak Dadi Pantaya as the chairman of the ICoSHIP and ICOVA in the committee. Ini semua di depan situ, di depan ballroom tadi. Oke, Bapak Ibu, untuk selanjutnya Bapak Ibu bisa masuk kepada lunch session yang sudah tersedia di ballroom, di depan ballroom utama. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we come to the lunch session. Any other? Oh, okay, thank you. For the audiences, please go to the first floor to the main ballroom to enjoy the lunch session there. And then for the keynote speakers and also the vice directors, the lunch is provided in the restaurant of the hotel. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. 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 Yeah, Bapak Ibu, the panel discussion is gonna start at 1 p.m. and you can see the schedule in the conference website. Yeah. Thank you. Sama-sama Bapak.